Hello and welcome to the Built On Air podcast. Built On Air is a regular podcast where we talk with everyday people and learn about the amazing things they are doing with Airtable. Today's podcast is sponsored by Openside, the leading solutions provider for Airtable customers. Check out openside.com to learn more about their products and services that can take your Airtable usage to the next level. Use promo code BuiltOnAir to receive $20 towards any product purchase.
In this episode, we talked to Abdul Alzanki, a Bay Area mobile app developer at Khan Academy, who's developed a series of no-code applets for Airtable called mini extensions. As a longtime Airtable user, Abdul discusses his path toward developing software and his goal to make Airtable even more accessible to beginners and experts alike. He explains how doing a simple coding exercise for his brother expanded to developing the now 18 extensions he provides on his website to the greater public, with even more on the horizon. Anything from downloading attachments in bulk to even machine learning is now possible thanks to his work. Abdul demos for us several of his tools in action, showing just how quickly you can add long-awaited features to your bases for a fraction of the cost of developing a custom web app from scratch.
All right, so this is the website. Okay.
Miniextensions.com, okay.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of them at this point. We've got like 20. The idea is that each extension would have a single purpose and it would be very obvious. So, bulk download everything, convert URLs to attachments. And you can go to an extension and you'll see it being used live in the videos. And you can even, for example, go and, view the resulting data. So for example, these are attachments that would get downloaded.
Yeah.
So I can go ahead and log in here to show you how it works in action. So probably one of the most popular ones so far has been this one, convert attachments to, convert URLs to attachments. So we've got two. We've got attachments to URLs and URLs to attachments. So in this one, the goal is to grab a bunch of URLs like this and convert them into, Airtable attachments over here. So if I remove these attachments and then, and when you're using anything that integrates with Airtable, you'll always have to fill in a couple of things for like an API key and a couple of IDs. And They're pretty simple to find if people just follow the URLs there. And and then you can specify the names of the fields that have URLs in them. So let me split screen this so it's simpler to look at. So these are these fields, right? So these are the fields that have the URLs in them. And this is the name of the field that you want the resulting attachments to be in.
Right.
So go ahead and run this. And it might take a second here. And all of these extensions, well, not all of them, but the vast majority of them can be scheduled too.
Oh.
Okay. So here you go. So these images will start processing in, but so the process is super simple. It's exactly what you think it does, and it gives you exactly what you think it does. That's the goal, kind of. Yep. There's not much fanciness to it, and like I said, you can schedule these, or you can also have a webhook, which is useful for cases where, let's say you have a form, and then you want the form submissions to trigger this job.
Sure.
So you want, after a form is submitted, convert this URL to attachment. Then you can do that with this. Or even if you want to sort of plug it into an existing integration with some third-party website, a lot of them will support webhooks too. So you can use that there too.
That's great. And you can do multiple fields to concatenate in the attachment fields. That's
exactly.
That's great.
Yeah. And there is, let me show you the one for the bulk download. So this is right here. So this is for this base right here. And it's got a bunch of, these don't have to be images. So you can see this is a movie.
Yeah.
But it's got a bunch of images, right? I think there's over 1,000 here, like 1,300 or something. So the job just supposedly works very fast. So let's see how fast it works.
Well, it most certainly works faster than if you tried to do this individually.
Yeah. So the this is the only job that can't be scheduled because I
Okay.
mean, like it doesn't make sense to schedule the download. Like it's hard to, I would have to email it or something. I'm still thinking about that, but yeah, so here's the zip file and yep. So these are all the images and yeah, like I said, you can have any sort of file.
Right.
And these are mostly repeated images on purpose because, it's hard to add 1,300 images on
Sure.
demand.
I see they're like they're prefixed with a 3-digit number, at least it looked like it. Is that the row number in Airtable?
Oh, those are not the row numbers. And the reason why that's the case is because I wanted to solve for people who might have multiple images of like a single image that exists in multiple fields.
Oh, got it.
And to solve for that, I have to not have any duplicates in terms of names.
Uh-huh.
So I just added that left number just to number the images. But yeah, if people have a better naming convention that I can use, I'm totally down to implement that too.
Mm-hmm. But that's super useful. I can think of a few ways I could use that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm seeing you can, or a user can sort of build their, I guess, application using maybe one, maybe two, or even all of the extensions that you provide. So it's not a one-size-fit-all solution.
Yeah. So one of the things that I liked about this approach of solving like one problem in one extension is in a lot of the integration websites, what they do is you can connect integrations and you stack them up, right?
Yeah.
The stacking up is a bit hard to explain to people sometimes. So what I wanted to do is I wanted the kind of when you combine multiple things into one job, I wanted that process to happen on Airtable. So you can imagine for example, the first job that I showed you, which is convert URLs to attachments, doing the first part, and then you just run the second part with downloading the attachments. So the idea is sort of like the middle state is Airtable. So you can connect all of these together, but it's simple because Airtable is that middle state that holds what you want.
Yeah. That's great. So when you were creating this, was it always something that you thought about including the scheduling feature?
I didn't, but it's actually not the scheduling feature that surprised me of how useful it is, but it's the webhook. The webhook was like a definitely like afterthought, but it is probably it adds so much more power to this. So for those who are not familiar with webhooks, I can show you how what that means here. So if I want to run this same job that we ran earlier, we get a webhook here, and then this URL, when you open the URL, the job gets run. And that means anywhere in the world that you can open a URL, the job gets run.
Okay.
Which is yeah, it's a lot more powerful than I had originally thought when I was implementing the feature. It's nice when features surprise you.
Yeah. So it sounds like you had made this product or this service that takes kind of the guesswork out of a lot of common requests that someone might have, which might be useful for like most users, but you've made it even more useful for power users who, are familiar with webhooks and make their own integration somehow. Adding that feature, I think, maybe has doubled the usefulness.
And I also feel like there will be in the future extensions where, some of the extensions are not necessarily just a state from Airtable to a new state in Airtable. So for example, when you're downloading attachments, that's a kind of different kind of a service, right? Sure. So I'm thinking there will be a lot of things like that might be super interesting. Like you can imagine an extension that gives you like, you generate a landing page or something. So those sort of extensions I'm excited about because, the sky is the limit with those. Like who knows how simple yet powerful they can be. And I'm excited to explore that venue of like things that currently it's not even hard to do manually. It might even be impossible to do manually.
Yeah.
Those sort of things I feel would be really awesome to have in this kind of like mini extension kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm seeing one that says text sentiment analysis. Do you mind going over that one?
For sure. That's one of the ones I'm excited about. So this is, for those not familiar with text sentiment analysis, it's a process with machine learning where you grab some text, say you have a review of a product or something, and you want to categorize it. Is it a negative review? Is it a positive review? Is it a neutral review? And you can imagine doing this for a bunch of stuff, not just if it's positive or negative. You can imagine like, oh, is this a feature request? Is this a feedback? Is this a complaint? And this is done with machine learning, and we use this service called MonkeyLearn. And they've got, I'm very impressed by them. They've got a lot of like pretty sophisticated machine learning solutions, and people can go and check it out. But yeah, they've got more than even just text sentiment analysis. But I'll go ahead and show you this running. See right here. So I'll delete these to rerun it. But yeah, so it grabs the input of the machine learning process is the field on the left here, which is kind of like the reviews.
Yeah.
And then the classification is saved here on the right, as you can see. Yeah. And
wow.
I when I first implemented this, it was just for text sentiment analysis. That's why I called it text sentiment analysis. But then I realized that there are so many more things that you can do on MonkeyLearn that I should probably rename this to like running machine learning on Airtable or something like that. Because yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. It's pretty awesome.
It seems like it could be very powerful. I think the first Airtable base I had made was to organize. I was in school and we had to do a survey of people, and I was collecting responses and trying to group them together. And it sounds like this would have made my life so much easier.
Exactly. And that's sort of, so the grouping is what's called in like artificial intelligence and machine learning as like classification.
Yeah.
And the classifiers, you know, there could be as many and as diverse as you'd like them to be. And they actually have, MonkeyLearn has a process in which you can make your own classifier, which I haven't messed with because it seems like it's a bit involved. But it's like actually really cool that you can pretty much do sophisticated machine learning with no experience or understanding of machine learning whatsoever. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And again, something that even a super user I might think is not necessarily something possible, and yet in Airtable, and yet here it is.
Yeah.
Well implemented.
Yeah. And there's another one that I enjoyed and I was pleasantly surprised by was the PDFs one. So this does a PDF generation. So it generates PDFs with a website called DocOpilot.
Okay.
And let me pull it up here. So what it does is you want to turn every row in this table into a PDF document.
Yep.
So let's say like you want to get invoices or something. So this is an example of like invoices. Yeah. And you can see like this is the name of the company. This is the name of like this column right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. It takes you like define a PDF template, and then you just like all at once generate like thousands of PDFs as much as you want. So this one is super exciting too.
For our audience, this is different from the page builder block, because the page builder block, it doesn't put the PDF into the record. So it's not immediately available for download or to preview. You kind of have to open the blocks panel and find the record. So one of the features that I've been hoping for Airtable was a way of using Page Builder and to put it into an attachment field associated with that record. And again, here it is. You've already figured it out.
So Yeah, exactly what you said. And to add to that, so you can have a completely automated process. You can imagine having a new field here that says email, right?
Yeah.
And then you can have another integration that sends the email. So all of a sudden you have a completely automated invoice system.
Right. Great. And you would set up the template for the PDF in DocuPilot, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's just like setting up a Word document, and you
Sure.
just specify this is where I want this value to be, and this is where I want this value to be, and it
Mhm.
just, yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think this one might be my favorite.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's unpredictable sometimes which ones people like.
Well, everyone has such different use cases. I've been trying to make a running project database, not a project tracker, but to um, log all of the projects that my company has been doing for the past 60 years. And there's thousands of projects, and we just want a one sheet summary of them. And to generate, that one sheet, it'd be great if it was automatic. And I'm staring at a solution right now, and it makes
Oh,
me
nice.
happy.
Nice. Yeah, I was also thinking, I haven't made this one yet, but I was also thinking it might be interesting to turn the entire table into a PDF somehow. But it's like, a lot of times I don't want to go ahead and make something without people asking me, because I'm like, I don't know what the use case is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do too much guesswork here. But
Hmm.
yeah, I have a bunch of ideas in my head that I'm trying to like see if they're even like, because I know they're possible, but are they useful? Like, you can imagine doing this, but you get a website, like you get a URL to a page here, right? Like, imagine if instead of the PDF, you get a URL and you can send your customer or whatever the URL, and it's like a nice looking web page where it shows
Yeah.
you the invoice, stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard sometimes to know to filter through what are good ideas and bad ones. So
Yeah. I can understand that. I think for what you just described, maybe not, a listing of all records, but I could see the usefulness of like a filtered view, for instance, if you have it set up to do overdue tasks, for instance. Maybe you want just a snapshot of all of them. Um, and then you might be able to do that with the scheduling feature you mentioned. Maybe it does it just once a month on the 31st or something to give you a list of all your overdue tasks.
yeah, actually, let me show you the options for the scheduling feature too.
Hmm.
So um, so far I've made it to have these four options. So you can run it every 4 hours, every day, every week, every month. And I'm even considering maybe it's hard to for scheduling can be expensive, and I'm trying to like make this be a like in total. I want this to be a cheap thing for people to use. So I don't if I have to, if I say, oh, you can schedule it every 15 minutes, I might have to like increase the prices because the
Yeah,
servers costs money.
of
So
course.
so right now this is it. But if anybody needs more, reach out to me. I'm very open.
Mhm. Wow. I am blown away. Um, Thank you so much for sharing this with me and with the podcast, with all of our listeners. We will make sure that we will put it out there. If you just wanted to plug your website one more time, and if you're available on any social media or anything, any ways they can contact you, go for it.
Sure. So the website is miniextensions.com. I'm not all that much of a social media user, but if you go on miniextensions.com, there's a little chat bot. Well, it's not a bot, it's me. So just hit on the chat thing and start talking to me. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'm pretty responsive. So yeah.
Okay, great. One more time, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Great.